Hello, I'm Gessie Thompson, co-founder of the DETOX, and I want to welcome you to the Why DETOX webinar, hosted by myself, your nutrition and health coach, and Dr. Amsu Ampu, naturopathic doctor and nutritionist, as well as Dr. Amun, who's also naturopathic doctor and nutritionist. Together, we're also the co-founders of the Hope Beyond Fibroids Elimination program. So let's jump right in. Let's first, before we talk about why detox, we kind of need to tell you what birthed the detox, right? Well, in January of 2016, we actually we launched the Hope Beyond Fibroids Elimination program. And it's actually a 4-part proven transformative holistic program that helps women, that was focused on helping women eliminate fibroids, infertility, PCOS, endometriosis. And the program leverages 4 key components, which are coaching, nutrition planning, herbal supplements, and daily practices. Well, guess what? The results were amazing. And we have to say, not only were they amazing, they were overwhelming to the point where we saw, women eliminating fibroids. And in the case of one client, Annalise Henry, she actually started off the program with 57 fibroids and she eliminated 50 on the program, reclaimed her life, and is living a completely, as she says, it's like literally being reborn, okay? And also in the case of one of our Hope Sisters, Latoya Ryan, who's also part of the Hope Beyond Fibroids team now. She's living fibroids-free, cyst-free, and cramp-free after starting the program in January of 2016 when we launched. At the same time, Annalise started. And this one's really dear to my heart. Danielle and Terry Otis were both dealing with fibroids and infertility. Well, Danielle was dealing with the fibroids, but they were dealing with infertility. Danielle was unable to conceive for 12 years, never even able to conceive. My story makes this even more sensitive for me because I battled infertility for 10 years. Well, guess what? She started the program in January as well. And not only did she started with one of our detoxes, which we'll get into later, which is the Detox 14 Healing Intensive. And within, I want to say not even a month, 2 months, she was pregnant for the first time, and they gave birth to Charlie Monet Otis, who just turned 1 year old this past October. This is, of course, at the time of her birth. So very exciting things. But here's the deal. Not only did we see women overcoming these reproductive diseases, but we saw women and even some of their family members overcoming things like diabetes. One of our Hope Sisters, her husband, started the program in January of this past year, and he completely reversed his type 1 diabetes with the 14-day, actually the Detox 14 Healing Intensive, where he was on 5 medications. He's now literally on none, just living according to the program, taking the supplements, eating according to the meal plans. And we had actually one of our Hope Sisters, her mom actually eliminated her high cholesterol. She was on statin drugs for years. And she is no longer in the healing 14-day intensive. Because of that detox, she is no longer on any cholesterol drugs. And she had a hiatal hernia that completely was eliminated. And her sister, who also did it with her, did the detox with her, was cured from high blood pressure. Also, she was on high blood pressure pills, no longer taking any medication. So we saw this, we saw people being healed from sickle cell and other diseases. And this really, it alerted us as we were approaching the 2nd year anniversary of the program and looking at our case studies. We said, you know what? There's a trend here. There's something amazing happening, and we need to make this available to the masses. So this gave birth to the official detox, which we've been actually incorporating into our Hope Beyond Fibroids Elimination program, our thyroid elimination programs, cancer, all of our chronic disease programs as an accelerator to really jumpstart healing, as well as, again, to accelerate people dealing with very intense symptoms. So before, we're going to launch with our three signature detoxes, which are the Detox 7. We decided to start with the Detox 7, which is a mini cleanse, the Detox 14, which is the Healing Intensive, which I spoke about, and the Detox 30, which is our Master Cleanse. But because whether your goal is prevention or cure, detoxing is the first step to living free of inflammatory diseases such as diabetes, fibroids, heart disease, lupus, cancer, and more. So the next question is, why detox? We're going to jump right into that. Dr. Amsu and Dr. Amun are now going to be joining us, of course, chiming in here and really leading the conversation. But I thought I'd start by saying detoxing is the process of abstaining or purging toxins or unhealthy substances from the body to remove those toxins that cause disease, and to clear the canvas for the regeneration of healthy cells, organs, tissues, and systems. And this is what facilitates prevention and cure. So Dr. Amsu, let's go into what detoxing is. Okay?
Okay. All right. So do you want me to answer what detoxing is? Because I think the definition.
So I can actually, you gave us a textbook definition, right?
Right.
So it's a process, a period of time in which one abstains from or rids the body of toxic or unhealthy substances, which is also called detoxification. Okay.
Right. So,
and then, go ahead.
Okay. So, in layman's terms, detoxing is basically purging your body of anything that's causing any sort of inflammation, any kind of inflammatory diseases, whether it's an acute condition or a chronic condition. So, and it might also be bacterial or viral. So it's getting rid of whatever poison is in the body that's causing inflammation, causing you to be sick, causing discomfort, and also, people who are overweight or want to get rid of fat in their body. So detoxing is the way to facilitate that, where you're getting rid of anything that's causing the body any form of dis-ease.
Awesome, thank you. And then you went on to also provide the definition of toxin, right? Specifically. Do you want to break that down, expound on that for us, what a toxin is? Well, I can read the definition. Do you want to expound on it? Want me to do that?
I can expound upon it or lay it out, layman term it out.
Yeah, because it's on the screen for them.
All right. So a toxin is any kind of poison that can cause a reaction or cause a disease, an outbreak, anything that basically will put the body into a state of shock or a reaction. So a toxin is basically a poison. You can get a poison from either a plant, an animal, or chemicals. Or chemicals, right. So, that's in a layman term what a toxin is. And I know you have the definition up on the screen.
Yes.
So,
And I would just like to piggyback off some of the things. We're talking about detoxing, toxins and detoxifying the body. One of the things we're missing is, how do we get these toxins and how do we become toxic in the first place? And one of those things is by our diet.
Right. I think we're going to get into that. We're actually going to get into that. So let's actually, but I think first Dr. Amsu wanted to speak about fat, because that's a critical piece, right? Or if one of you guys might want to talk about that.
I mean, we'll bounce off each other. You know?
Yeah, literally.
Right. So, so basically, one of the big, or we will say the biggest, not one of the biggest facilitator of toxins in the body is fat.
Right.
Okay.
And in particular, there's different types of fat. So we want to make have the
two main fats.
The two main fats, so that we differentiate what's good and what's bad. So we have white fat, which is also known as white adipose tissue, and we have brown or red fat, which is brown or red adipose tissue. Now,
Okay.
white fat is the useless fat. It's the fat that causes all the problem. It's the haven for all kinds of toxins.
Okay, so actually, so that's a very good point, right? So, and how that comes into the body is where I think Dr. Amun was going next, right? Which is those sources of stress, diet, and pollutants, right? That cause that bring it. Well, it's not. That's not how fat gets into the body, but that's how toxins get into the body.
Well,
And
that's how toxins get into the body, but how fat gets into the body.
okay, break that down.
When your body cannot process something, when it cannot metabolize it, what it does, it stores it. It sends it somewhere like, all right, go in the corner over there. We'll deal with you later. And that's basically, you know,
it's mainly your liver that's going to be suffering, because the liver is the master organ that is processing and detoxifying all the waste out of the body. So what you start having is like fatty liver disease or fatty liver conditions. And once that starts breaking down, then it's like a domino effect.
Right.
Okay, so you know what? Let's before we get into the organs that are affected, because I know we're going to talk about that too. So the actual stress, diet, and pollutants. So stress, we're talking about cortisol. Let's break that down a little bit. The diet, we're talking about things like what? What kind of a diet? So we're talking about.
All right. So all kinds of meat.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Including fish.
Including fish. Any kind. If it's an animal and it moves around, it's got legs, or it's got a tail, it's got a head,
scales,
whatever. Any kind of animal. That's meat. Do not eat any
flesh.
That's the main thing, right? Meat.
Well, say why, because you know people always want to say, well, why? Why is what about organic flesh?
Well, all flesh is organic.
Right.
You know, anything with carbon is organic. So, you know, we try not to, when somebody says there's something this organic, well, you know, most things are organic. You know, even though you might have something that's conventionally grown, when we're dealing with vegetables and fruit, that's when we start getting into, okay, something that's organically grown, or if it's conventionally grown. But everything is organic, because the definition of organic means that it's carbon-based.
Right.
Okay.
So, all animals are organic. So whether something is corn-fed or it's eating from the skip or from the trash can, it's still organic. So, but this is the thing: all animals contain blood. They contain their lymphatic system. They contain hormones, and their hormones are steroidal. So this is what is hard to break down in our body when we start.
That's the problem. Trying to ingest that.
Right. It's hard to, we ingest it, but then we can't metabolize it. Metabolization is the key to everything. When we can metabolize, meaning we can pull the nutrients out of something and get rid of the waste, that's productive, that's functional. When we cannot metabolize, separate nutrient from toxin or from waste, that's dysfunction. That's where we get white adipose tissue.
Okay. That's what forms white adipose tissue.
Right.
Okay, so we're talking about what else in a diet? So dairy,
soy,
wheat, starchy foods. One of the things I wanted to just drop in there while we were talking is that the food industry, along with FDA and that, they have now made it compulsive that all farmers around this country have to give their animals antibiotics. And that, in layman terms, is just like the flu shot. Okay. So when you're buying, whether it's what they call organic meat or corn-fed chicken or wild free range and wild fish, all of them have been injected with some antibiotics, some form of drugs.
And if they're not injected with something, then they're affected by pollutants.
Right.
Like fish in particular, pollutants include like mercury. Mercury is a massive problem. And the reason why you have so many people with like multiple sclerosis is because of the mercury content, which strips away, the interstitial fluid from the cells. The myelin sheath that's around nerves also strips that away. So, we have a major problem with mercury. And outside of that, is parasites.
Yeah.
So when we get rid of all the toxins and the chemicals, now we start dealing with pathogens, you know, microbes, which are, you know, bacteria.
And this is all from, this is all really just flesh, because we haven't gone into the dairy or the soy, caffeine. Well, you have listed caffeine, alcohol, fast food.
Right. You know, so these are all things which cause inflammation. They cause inflammation in many different ways, and they are like alcohol. You know, people, alcohol is a poison,
right?
And it shouldn't really be in the body, but in certain aspects, alcohol can be utilized to facilitate certain forms of medicine.
Mm-hmm.
So there are exceptions to the rule, but it's not something that we will recommend anybody to consume.
As part of your diet, not to consume, right?
If we look at in our social behavior or just in society, people consume alcohol. They have a glass of wine a day. Some people wait to the weekend, go out, you know, they turn up, they get lit, they start drinking spirits, wine, all kind of stuff. And that is a lot of damage you're causing your liver, because again, alcohol is fermented, or anything that is fermented. Fermentation is bad. Now, fungus and spawns, again, that leads, well, I won't go too far because I know we're going to drop, but again, too much pressure on your liver.
And the main thing that gives the pressure to the liver is always trying to flush or metabolize nitrogen.
Right.
We're trying to get rid of nitrogen, because nitrogen in our body is a poison. We have oxygen, which helps to facilitate the electricity and bring nourishment around the body. And nitrogen and oxygen cannot exist in the same space at the same time. So the liver's always trying to flush out nitrogen, and alcohol, caffeine, and certain meat. You know, certain foods.
Even certain plants are still nitrogen based as well, right?
Nitrogen fixators, which we're always trying to, you know, when somebody has flatulence, an issue of flatulence, that's because of high contents of nitrogen.
Okay. So and then pollutants include everything from prescription drugs that are estrogenic to pesticides, which is why we say organic is critical, to plastics, the BPA plastics, and petrochemicals. Do you want to expound on any of that?
Well, when we look at prescription drugs, for instance, you're talking about, they're getting the source, whether, you know, it's say magnesium or whatever, but what they're doing, they're synthesizing it. Okay. So now the
it's not
dosage,
coming from a natural source.
right, it's not coming from a natural source, and the dosage is now in a higher level of concentration, which has an adverse effect. The body is got a natural mechanism to process these things, and that's part of the liver again. The liver would be the one that's processing and distributing the minerals or the vitamins or the nutrients to the organs of the body. When you have something that is synthesized or already processed, like the synthetic prescription drugs that you get from your local pharmacist, now the body doesn't know what to do with it.
Okay.
The body now doesn't have a natural process of absorbing and working its way through the system of now distributing these nutrients or minerals to the organs that maybe are lacking this. The body doesn't know what to do with it. A lot of them contains, like the Dr. Amsu said, nitrogen base, contains a lot of sugar as well. So what you have is a quick fix to a long-term issue waiting for you down the road.
Wow.
Okay. So they start taking of the receptor signals on your receptors will start being mute or nullified, so you can't feel the pain anymore. So for instance, if you've got arthritis or you've got a headache, you know, it will clear up. But what has actually happened? Is it really the root cause of what caused the headache or the arthritis being addressed? No. With the shut down the signals on the receptors, so you don't feel it anymore, but the condition is still going on in the background.
And I just wanted to say, the liver creates vitamins. So vitamins are a end product, or we could even say a waste product, a processed product of the liver. So we don't like to tell anybody to take any kind of vitamins. We don't recommend taking vitamins because the body sees it as waste. It's like, oh, this is waste. Let me get rid of this.
Mm-hmm.
The liver,
because it's not organically produced by the body.
Not organically produced by the body. So, you know, like vitamin Bs, you have like cobalamin, right? And cobalt is, you know, bioavailable cobalt is what's is taken in by the body. Then cobalamin is the end product from the liver. Okay, so if you put cobalamin into the body, the liver sees it either as, okay, this is some feedback. Let me flush this out. Let me get rid of it. So we don't want anybody taking synthesized or vitamins, because vitamins you ain't supposed to take vitamins. Your body's.
What about vitamin C? You know, everybody loves their vitamin C. They say,
right,
the winter's coming. I need to do my vitamin C.
All right, so vitamin C is ascorbic acid. So basically, you're just an intake of ascorbic acid in its bioavailable form, which you get in
number of fruits.
So you know, eat the whole plant or fruit, get that ascorbic acid, and your liver knows what to do with it.
But what about things like emergency? Because, you know, people think, oh, I just drink a glass of this and I get 1,000 units of vitamin C in a day.
If you exceed the amount you're supposed to get, it's now a toxin.
And then also we have to remember is how the process from that fruit is made into a juice. Right. You know, because
not even a juice, it's that powder, right?
Right.
That powder that you put in water.
Right. So the process from the fruit and the pulp or the meat of the fruit turn, you know, into that process on how it becomes a powder or liquid is something where you can lose the minerals and the nutrition benefit as well. So when you go to and you get these multivitamins and powder supplement drinks and all that, you got to look at how from like a mango or grape or whatever fruit in particular has become that way. What has been the transformation to that point? And that's where, you know, you have to be very careful on what you're actually having at the end product.
Okay, so I'm going to jump us to, there's an image on the screen that says diseases caused by fat, right? Because we were talking about how fat is the haven for toxins and in inflammatory diseases.
Adipose or white fat? We've got to make it
white adipose tissue, which is when we say fat, that's what we're talking about. And the distinction, in fact, that's a very good point, because people may say, well, I'm not obese. Hey, I had a ton of fibroids. I had 5 fibroid surgeries personally, but I was never more than a size, I think in my heyday, the most I was ever was a size 4, right? But I had a lot of white adipose tissue because I had a lot of estrogen. So actually, if you can touch on that and then talk about the diseases that, the inflammatory diseases that come from white adipose tissue and inflammation.
All right, so this is the thing. You have skeletal muscle, right? Then you have internal smooth muscles, which are your organs. The only organ in your body that isn't muscular is your lungs. It's made of sacs, right? But your diaphragm is a muscle. Anything that's a muscle can be turned into fat. Right. So when it's broken down, when it degrades into fat. So this is why one of the most major diseases in this country or around the world, which causes major problems, is fatty liver disease.
Right. Okay.
All right? So the same way how you want to work out your external muscles, like, you know, I don't want to show you my guns or anything, but the same way how somebody goes into a gym and they work out their muscles to keep it toned, it's the same internally. You're supposed to have internally toned muscles, less fat.
Organs.
So, the organs in your body, they're muscles, but they can start turning into fat when they degrade.
Okay.
And estrogen facilitates that. That's one of the things that estrogen, in its many forms, it actually is what we call a catabolic steroid, which breaks muscle down into fat. And when some things turn into fat, i.e. white adipose tissue, it facilitates or havens toxins. So it's a major issue.
So it doesn't matter what you look like on the outside, you can still have very fatty organs, right?
Right.
And that's the key message here.
And also fat in your blood vessels.
Right. Blood
that's
vessels.
When you start dealing with like hypertension and high blood pressure, heart disease.
Okay, so I'm looking at the screen, and some of the diseases Okay, I'm sorry. What were you saying,
Okay,
doctor?
I was just going to go back, like you said, you know, we've got slim fat. So
Mm-hmm.
that's what you just described. Someone
Skinny
that
fat.
maybe is a size 4, size 5 in the genes,
Mm-hmm.
but they still suffer with fibroids.
Mm-hmm.
We call that
Or other diseases.
slim
Mm-hmm.
fat. Because again, like Dr. Amsu said, what's going on internally is that the organs are now developing more fat than muscle. So you've got lack of oxygen levels are dropping. Estrogen feeds off fat. Okay, the more white adipose tissue is produced, is the more the body produces estrogen. So they, you know, you got to
And what does the estrogen do?
and then estrogen will lead to these
Such as, so I have a list of conditions up
Go
here.
ahead.
I have pulmonary disease, which include abnormal function, obstructive sleep apnea, hyperventilation syndrome. I have non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. I have gallbladder disease, gynecological or abnormalities, such as what we've been talking about, fibroids, infertility, PCOS, skin issues, gout, phlebitis, cancer, severe pancreatitis, coronary heart disease, which include diabetes, hypertension, and then things like idiopathic intracranial hypertension and stroke. How does this condition lead to these things?
I mean, again, you're dealing with your cells. All right, so your cells are being attacked, right?
Right.
Now,
Mm-hmm.
estrogen, I don't know if you were going to move on to estrogen later on, but
Yeah, you know, actually, why don't we do that?
So,
Okay, so, well, we talked about body mass index. No, but before we get into that, so we'll come to that. Body mass index is what I have up here on the screen now. And because we're talking about skinny fat, what really determines if you are healthy skinny is your BMI, right?
right.
Well, let's
part
stop
of it.
there for a second. Part of it, right? Because remember what we just said, skinny fat. Now we're dealing with people that have an excellent IBM, okay?
Or BMI.
BMI.
Little plug there.
Right, yeah. Right? Plug in IBM, right? So in that respect there, it's not blatant to the eye. You know, you get someone who comes in that may be 5'3" and they weigh 180 pounds. Right away, you can see what the problem is. But then you get someone who comes in that's 5'4" and they weigh like 125 or 130. So they're the perfect body weight for the height and the body mass. However, they're still suffering with some of these diseases that we've just described, some of these health conditions. Right? So you understand that you've got to dig a little deeper when you're dealing with your individual patient of knowing.
Okay, so I'm going to go past this.
It's the difference between visible fat and invisible fat.
Right.
The BMI, your BMI is not taken from just your visible fat. It's the invisible fat.
Right.
Okay. So estrogen, we're on the estrogen screen now because you were talking about the connection between estrogen and all of these diseases.
Right. So estrogen has, you know, there's many forms of estrogen, but there's three major, which is estrone, E1, estradiol, which is E2, and then estriol, right, E3. Which is E3. Now, estrogen is produced internally or it can come externally. Now, estrogen is not the natural hormone as we've been taught institutionally. Estrogen has been taught to be a female hormone, but it actually isn't. Progesterone is the true female hormone, and testosterone being the male hormone. But both male and female have testosterone and progesterone. There's a balance. There's a certain balance with men. There's a certain balance with women, how much they're supposed to actually produce. Now, estrogen is, as we said earlier, is a catabolic steroid. That means it breaks things down.
Some are saying it's carcinogen.
Right. Now, we can get to the carcinogenic place of that, right? But estrogen basically is an endocrine disruptor. It's a cell disruptor. It's a mitochondrial disruptor.
Right.
It damages DNA, right?
Because it breaks down muscle into fat, right? That's what you were talking about.
Right. And when it does that, it actually lowers the charge when it attacks the mitochondria. The mitochondria is the engine and the life and the vibrancy, it's the energy of the cell. So when the
so let's go back to how it attacks that mitochondria, because you know, we talked about the fact that it's a catabolic steroid, right?
Right.
There's aromatase, aromatization, there's xenoestrogens, and I figure they all work the same, correct?
Right.
I mean,
So when
estrogen,
so
those
there's
are
a
all the different sources of estrogen, but what it does, let's get to that a little bit more clear.
okay, so that's what we're saying.
Yeah.
What it does, it breaches the cell wall, and
How?
then
How is what I was saying. You were saying it breaks muscle down into fat, and then
no, all right. So how it breaks muscle down into fat is because it breaches the cell wall
okay.
of cells,
Cell membrane.
right? Cell membranes. Now
Mhm.
there are estrogen receptors on cells, right? There's alpha receptors and beta receptors. Alpha receptors are what we know as up regulators of estrogen. They help to exacerbate or facilitate estrogen.
Right.
Beta cells basically stop the effects of estrogen.
Right.
So they help to flush it out,
So
metabolize and
inhibitors.
flush it out.
Right.
Right.
Estrogen.
So when alpha receptors are employed, that actually helps the estrogen to get into the cell. Once it enters the cell,
Penetrates the cell.
penetrates the cell,
Mm-hmm.
it attacks the nucleus of the
Slows
cell,
it down,
and it attacks the mitochondria. So it disrupts it, breaks it down, stops it from functionally doing what it's supposed to do.
Okay.
Once it disrupts the mitochondria, the cell loses charge. Once cells lose charge in the body, they are perceived as foreign entities to the body, especially to the human leukocyte antigens, right? White blood cells.
Okay.
Right? And those attacking. Now you have an exchange of chemicals, which whether it's cytokine, histamine, TNF alpha, which is tumor necrosis factor alpha, or there's so many different types of chemicals. Leukotriene, there's so many types. So white blood cells are a problem, but we'll deal with that later. But when that chemical exchange takes place, now you have inflammation. It's an inflammatory response. You now have inflammation, and tumor is one of those stages. So people who suffer from tumors, that's the result of this whole process that has just taken place.
So what we're saying in a nutshell is when the body becomes estrogen dominant, that's when they start breaking down your cells.
Okay. So it's breaking down your cells and causing all these inflammatory diseases.
Right. That leads to these health conditions that we're talking about.
Okay. So there's a screen here about aromatase, and the next one is what happens in your body: ingestion, metabolism, dysfunction. Do you want to go into that, or you feel like we covered it?
Well, let's talk about aromatase right quickly.
Okay.
Right? So aromatase is an enzyme. There are these enzymes in the body which are called cytochrome P450s, and there's many of them, right? And in particular, you have those which like cytochrome P19. This is one of the aromatase.
CYP19.
Yeah, CYP19, 19A1, and we don't want to go into that because we'll lose.
Right, because we lost me, and I'm hosting.
Right, and we ain't trying to lose anybody. Stay with us, please.
Stay with us.
So aromatase is this enzyme, and what it does, it converts or mutates natural hormones, which is your testosterone and your progesterone. It mutates or converts those into forms of E1 into E2
into estrogen.
And wreaks havoc in the body. So once that starts taking place, right? So somebody might be producing progesterone and testosterone as they're supposed to, but because of this aromatase, it starts to convert them.
How does the aromatase happen? How do we?
All right. So aromatase gets into the body through pollutants again, through meats, through alcohol, through
pesticides,
all of the above, everything that we've been saying before. This is what's happening with these foods, with your diet, with pollution, with petrochemicals. They all contain this enzyme aromatase, and it breaks.
And actually, you know what, people can, because you really go into great detail in this in our Hope Beyond Fibroids Elimination program teleseminar. I remember we go into great detail about this. So you can download it if you haven't heard it already. Download it at hopebeyondfibroids.com/elimination. And that really breaks down estrogen, aromatization, and specifically that process, right?
Right. Now if you go, I think metabolism.
That's where I am now. Ingestion, metabolism, dysfunction. What happens in your body?
You eat, or you breathe, or you coat your body with, so us, even Black people, we use things like Vaseline, petrochemicals for our lives. We use hair oils, petrochemicals. When you absorb these makeup foundation, phthalates, perfumes, shampoos, all these things that we put onto our body as well as what we eat, they contain
toxins.
They're toxins. They contain high amounts of aromatase and what we call xenoestrogen. So we can interchange the use of the word estrogen or xenoestrogen and aromatase, right?
Okay.
So
so what happens is your body ingests it, right?
Ingest it.
Then it metabolizes it.
Metabolism is Metabolism is the key. It's how your body processes what you do with what you've just ingested.
Right.
Now, there's two forms of metabolism that are key to.
All right, and I think you're about to talk about that.
Right.
So before we advance that, I do want to talk about something we kind of missed, which was the way that we talk about how we actually take toxins in, right? Is that through breathing, through our skin, right, and through eating, right? That's how we ingest it, because the skin is the largest organ. So everything from the beauty products to the air, that we breathe in, and what we eat, those are the ways that we're ingesting. Now,
and also, I know your favorite, Gessie, stress. All right.
Yes. Well, absolutely, it's a major one.
So,
as a coach, I focus on that.
Right. So in stress, and I know, and this is what the importance of coaching is. Stress is such a major factor because cortisol actually facilitates the
regulating,
the up intake of estrogen. So it facilitates aromatase.
That's interesting, because what we tell our Hope Sisters all the time is, like, I noticed that when they're going through a very high stress period, whatever their symptoms, everything was accelerated. It literally it multiplies it, right?
Right. So you'll find the cysts, the cramps,
everything, right? Even the growth of the tumors, everything toxic is exponentially increased.
Right. It's amplified.
It's amplified.
That cortisol is like you're turning up the volume button on a heavy metal song. We don't want to hear.
Right. All right, so we're going to go into the metabolism part, which is the hydroxylation and methylation. Is that correct? Okay.
Right.
So we're on hydroxylation now.
So there's two forms of metabolism that's key.
Okay.
Hydroxylation is our enemy. All right. That's the bad form of metabolism. Right. So hydroxylation basically amplifies, or it activates, estrogen in the body.
Okay.
All right. So more hydroxylation means the more potency of the estrogens. So it actually changes the form of estrogens into, it can be, I don't want to go into too much detail, but you have 4-HO estrogen, you have 16-HO estrogens, and that's just amplified forms of estrogen that hydroxylation does. So basically, hydroxyl, or hydrogen and oxygen atom, is added to the molecule, and it wreaks havoc. Okay. So the more potent the hydroxylation, the higher level of toxification the estrogen is. All right. So that's that form. Then we have methylation. Methylation deactivates estrogen.
It acts like an inhibitor. It helps the body to rid estrogen through, which the liver plays a very important
role
of filtering that out.
So everything we're talking about when we're dealing with metabolism is the process of your digestion, and your liver's process.
Okay.
So when your liver is not doing its job correctly because it's busy getting rid of alcohol or nitrogen,
right, when it's overrun with toxins.
Overrun with toxins, you're going to get more hydroxylation taking place,
Okay.
and less methylation. All right.
So we want more methylation and not hydroxycation.
Right. There are actual enzymes in your body which facilitate methylation.
Okay.
And it's through deficiency in those enzymes where you're going to get affected negatively and have dysfunction through hydroxylation. So there's a hydroxylation versus methylation battle that goes on with most of the things that we eat.
So what we have to do are things that actually facilitate methylation in our body.
Right.
That's correct.
Okay.
So methyltransferase enzyme is actually which is known as COMT, which is on the screen.
Yes,
methyltransferase is the
actual enzyme that
methylates estrogens. Yes.
That's a lot. It's a mouthful. All right.
It's a mouthful.
So that's part of what makes up the meal plans. That's part of what makes up specifically what's in the supplements, right? There are things that actually that increase or facilitate, the methylation and inhibit the hydroxylation.
Right.
Correct. Yeah.
That's what we call aromatase inhibitors.
Aromatase inhibitors.
There's also foods like cauliflower, just to give you an example. Cauliflower, jackfruit, and
aromatase inhibitors.
Mangosteen.
Grape tomatoes.
Right. You know, there's certain foods which inhibit aromatase production, and it's the aromatization, right? Like, you know, so the meal plans are a massive part of, you know, a lifestyle that you have to lead when you are afflicted by these diseases. Once we go through detoxification, the next stage, which we will get to.
And specifically, you know, when you look at, again, just reapplying the stress lens. So stress in that environment, does that accelerate methylation? I mean, it accelerates hydroxylation?
Absolutely.
Right. Just like we explained before, you know, if you're overworked, overstressed, it's going to have an effect on one of these two processes of how you metabolizing your food and everything, you know, your supplements, everything that you're encountering in your lifestyle.
Right. So there's cortisol, there's corticosteroids, there's glucocorticosteroids. So there's different forms of cortisol that facilitate this aromatization which takes place.
Okay. So let's go, and we're going to move on to white blood cells. Specifically, there's an image of that. But I just do want to say that when we talk stress, many times people think only like anxiety and fear. And really, it's also triggered by pressure, which could be you have a ton of things going on and you haven't said no to the right things, meaning you're planning a wedding, you just got a promotion, and there's all this pressure, and you feel like you're in a pressure cooker, and you're not having enough breathing room in your life. And that facilitates the same kind of pressure that things like negative experiences do as well. So I want people to be aware of that.
Also worry as well. You know,
of course, disappointment.
And worried about that loved one. You know, and that, you know,
trauma.
And this is the thing with fear or stress or, you know, anxiety, it triggers the adrenals, and this is what we call, you know, the fight or flight syndrome. Right. And that's your cortisol being released.
So let's move into
the. So let's go to the white blood cells. So the leukocytes.
So we could give, you know, a real simple lane term of how white blood cells, or what we've been taught what white blood cells are. We've been taught that white blood cells is basically our immune system. That they're there to protect us, and the defense mechanism of any invasion or foreign viruses that may enter the body. The white blood cells, pathogens, they form of like antibodies to fight these off for us, right? So let me give you a little example. So for instance, if you've got a house and you've got a security system, the security system you put in place is your white blood cells, correct? Now, if I now fill my house up with some valuables, new TVs and everything like that, so that's me eating correctly, right? If I then say to myself, I'm going to go on a vacation and I want to now improve my security system. I want to make it enhanced. I want to make it more secure, more sophisticated. Okay. I then should have peace of mind that when I actually vacate and leave my property, that the chances of my property being invaded or burgled is slim to none, right?
I hope so, yes.
And even if someone does, you know, burgle or intruders come in my house, before they leave out, they're faced with the police outside, correct?
If it's working properly, yes.
Right.
If your
So
security system is.
let's put this now in with white blood cells.
Okay.
If I increase this immune system that I've been taught, white blood cells, if I increase the level of white blood cells, wouldn't it be correct to say or think that my immune system then will be heightened so I can fight off any virus or diseases or colds or flus or health conditions that might come my way, right?
Right.
However, it doesn't work like that.
It's not that way. Okay, tell us why.
Okay, it's not that way at all. The more, especially with people of color, right? The more white blood cells,
more elevated the number of your white blood cells.
White blood cells we have in our body leads to
more likely
to lead to these autoimmune diseases that we're facing, like MS and lupus. And what do they say? It's when your immune system turns against you and start attacking your organs.
Wow.
And even if it isn't the autoimmune disease, where if somebody has a cold and you check their white blood cell count, it's elevated.
Right.
So the white blood cells actually facilitate the invasion of the body. They actually, facilitate it.
Well,
When
they would say
vibrant, right? White blood cell count is low, always low.
You have to
but let's play the devil's advocate for a second, right? Because I know people are asking this question. They're saying, well, the reason my white blood cells count is high is because my body is trying to fight the disease, right? But what I hear you guys saying is that the white blood cells, the elevated level of the white blood cells is actually facilitating disease.
Right, it's the actual opposite.
I mean, let's look at how they measure if you're HIV positive. How do they go about doing that? By looking at your T cell count, okay, of your white blood cells. And they look at the antibodies. So even if they see the antibodies, now what is antibodies? Antibodies meaning that your body was attacked or had the virus at one time and the so-called white blood cells or your immune system fought it off. And what is left now is antibodies. The T cells are low, right? Or lowered. So now they diagnose you as HIV positive.
Okay.
That could be simply, like Dr. Amsu just said, your T cells are too high. You could also be classed as HIV positive. So where is the standard for this of HIV? 1 minute you could be diagnosed as positive because your T cells are too low or too high. So where is the standard? What I'm trying to bring to your attention is that there is no standard.
Okay.
There is no standard. And this is based on what they call your immune system. That is not your true immune system.
Okay, so let's break down what the true immune system is. Because what we're saying here is, of course, probably challenging people that, wait a minute, having high white blood cells count is actually not that just that my body is fighting disease, but that my body is actually facilitating disease. Okay. And that the true immune system is what we're saying here is that the white blood cells count is low. The lower your white blood cells, the more robust or the healthy you are, right? The healthier you are.
All right. So somebody could have a low white blood cell count, but also have a bad natural immune system. So because you got a low white blood cell count, don't automatically qualify you as being healthy.
Right.
Okay. Okay. But it is a condition. But it is a more indicator.
What your true immune system is your lymphatic system.
Okay.
Mitochondria, your melatonin levels, your serotonin levels.
Which I think that's what we're about to get into. So hold on a second. So, well, the next screen says actually the human body has 4 major processes for eliminating waste. Did you have anything, did you want to cover anything else related to the white blood cells?
All right, so white blood cells, again, white blood cells, they are what are known as the inflammatory response mechanism.
Okay.
Inflammation, right? Inflammation. Inflammation is the mother of all diseases. Any issue you have, there's going to be inflammation. Any issue that you have, there's going to be inflammation.
Blood vessels for heart disease.
And there's different, there's
tumors.
5 stages of inflammation. You know, you have rubor, which is redness. You have dolor, which is pain. You have calor, which is heat or fever. You have tumor, which is, you know, the growth. And you have a stage where you lose functionality of the actual organ or the symptom or the system. Right. So with all these, and remember, you have situations where Dr. Amun spoke about autoimmune diseases where the so-called defense mechanism
turns on itself.
Turned against the body. And, you know, that's things like arthritis, gout, lupus, diabetes, you know, did you say leukemia? You know, multiple sclerosis, all these different diseases and conditions, and you know, all of those are forms of autoimmune diseases, and there's more. You know, we can't name them all, but you know, all these different conditions, they are all facilitated by white blood cells. Leukemia, you know, if your white blood cell count goes too high, they'd say, oh, you got leukemia. So, and white blood cells have their own nucleus, they have their own DNA.
And they do not travel through your blood vessels.
Right. So they can travel through your blood vessels, but they can also leave your blood vessels. So the correct term for white blood cells, as we have on the screen, is leukocytes.
Okay.
And there's many forms of
them. In a nutshell, you don't want them in the body.
Bottom line for the lay person.
When you're dealing with high blood pressure, they always blame it on cholesterol. And it's not the cholesterol. The cholesterol is actually trying to repair the inner, you know, the endothelial, the walls, you know, the endothelial membrane of the blood vessels, right? So this is and what it is that the white blood cells come into the blood vessel walls and cause dysfunction, cause inflammation. They mix with the cholesterol and cause plaque. So it's not cholesterol.
It's the plaque that actually the white
blood cell hardens and thins the passageway, which is what you call high blood pressure.
So then the brain is sending cholesterol to repair that. So then you've just got a confusion, a situation of more white blood cells are being increased, causing more damage. The brain now is sending more cholesterol. So now you've got fat and cholesterol building up, and then that's where
they will tell you that it's fat, where the white adipose tissue actually produces white blood cells or leukocytes.
Okay, so we're moving on. It says, so natural symptoms of detoxification. The human body has 4 major processes of eliminating waste and toxins from the body. They include defecation, urination, respiration, and perspiration. Okay, I think those are clear. Did you want to, because people like to say, all right, well, what's going to happen to me? Because I think we're going to go into that next during the process of detoxification. Well, it's going to show up. You're going to detoxify either through defecation, what ends up in the toilet, right? Through urination, again.
Number ones and number twos.
And then also through your respiration is what congestion, what comes in through your nose and out through your
check it out. Every time we breathe, every time you inhale and exhale, you're actually getting rid of toxins. So we breathe out carbon dioxide.
So breath. So it shows up in your breath. It shows up in your mucous membranes, right? In terms of how.
Remember, detoxification naturally occurs all the time. So it's not that.
But it's going to be what we're talking about though. You're going to show up when you're detoxifying those specifically to a program like this. like the detox, you're going to see that increased, right?
Increase. It's going to, it's going to, or it may or may not, because it
Some
depends.
people are different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On the individual.
Yeah, it depends on the individual. And then perspiration, of course, right?
So,
which can lead to skin issues, where you have rashes and things like that show up as part of your detox process.
Right. So there are the organs which facilitate those 4 major ways.
Right. So we have 6 major components of detoxification. You want to talk? Those are the organs.
Right.
So you got your liver, which we've been talking
about the liver.
Right. You got your large intestines, known as your colon.
Right.
And, so when you're talking about defecation, we want to clear it up. It shouldn't be diarrhea.
Right.
Okay. There should be proper stool.
This is during detoxing or after?
No, during detoxing. Anytime your body is
when you're detoxing.
When somebody diarrheas, it's indicative that there's an issue that's being
eliminated.
Right.
Well, yes and no. Because
and then also if you're doing the healing intensive, you're not really going to have bowel movements after a certain point. It depends. Right. We're talking about after a lifestyle of now detoxifying, what your BMs should look like, right?
Right.
Okay.
Right. So so somebody is in a bad way and they're doing a detox. They probably will have some diarrhea. They may do. Right. But a lot of people, it should clear up. So you want diarrhea through the whole, the whole process.
And it depends on which fast, which detox you're doing, because if you're not having any food, it's also going to affect what kind of BMs you're going to have. Right. And then kidneys, you have kidneys, lungs, lymphatic system, and skin. So let's talk about those. So it's liver, large intestines, kidneys, lungs.
The kidneys facilitate urination.
Right.
So that's your liquids.
And again, when you're urinating, you will see the color changes.
Right.
Okay. So that will give you an indication of how your kidneys are functioning. Right. So if your urine is going from a dark yellow to a more lighter color, that means lack of the protein levels are dropping and the kidneys are starting functioning correctly. So they're flushing out with the bladder. So when you look at your urine through that, these are the things that we, while you're on the detox program, we're telling you to monitor things of that nature.
There are other vital organs that are involved in the urination and defecation process, like your gallbladder, like your pancreas, your spleen, and there's bile that's involved as well. But for simplification, we're just giving like the major organs. Okay.
Right. So the lungs,
respiration, that's dealing with the correct way of inhaling oxygen. Now, when we inhale, this is a misconception that people really believe that when we inhale, we're only inhaling oxygen. Right. No, oxygen is what we use. Is what we use.
That the body metabolizes.
Right. Everything else that we breathe in, because you could be, in a place where there's pollutants. And nitrogen makes up 75% of the atmosphere. So every time we breathe in, we're actually breathing in toxins.
Nitrogen.
But the liver is so powerful that it takes that, metabolizes, filters it out.
Filters it out.
Right. So part of our system of detoxification with every breath is exhalation. When we exhale, that's us getting rid of the poison that we've just breathed in.
Right.
Awesome. Right? And then the lymphatic system is lymphatic system. The skin is perspiration. Go ahead.
The lymphatic system
covers them all.
It covers all of them.
Okay.
What we have to realize is that the lymphatic system is different from like your cardiovascular system, which is constantly being circulated around the body through the heart. The lymphatic system has to be kick-started. Okay, that's like through exercises. So that's why we implement things like qigong or yoga or just walking or swimming.
Just to clarify, lymphatic system is where you have lymph. Right. And lymph is water, basically like the body's water, what it produces. And this water flushes out cells and helps to get it out of the body through those 4 mechanisms that we spoke of earlier.
Okay.
And then
So
we
it's
have
the circulation of the liquid and all of the fluids in our bodies.
Right. So it's another circulatory system in the body. It's not the cardiovascular system.
Right.
It's the lymphatic system. And the difference between it and the cardiovascular system is that there's no heart to pump
Okay.
the body.
Right.
So the way how the lymphatic system works, you will have to be moving around. So
Movement.
exercise. So there's
star jumps,
right.
trampolining, you know,
So the sedentary
trampolining.
lifestyle of people who they get up in the morning, they're lying down, they get up, they go and sit on the toilet, and they go and sit in their car, and they go to work, and they sit down all day, and they go back into the car, and they go home to watch TV. There's no exercise. This is what causes all kinds of congestion and all kinds of
So
problems.
what happens? The fluid just gets stuck. It's not moving
right,
around in the body.
Right.
It stagnates.
So
So
the
that
lymph
leads
nodes-
to what kind of diseases?
All of them.
All of them. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lymphoma as well. Yeah.
All kinds of basically all kinds of it, because it leads to inflammation. What
Right.
I think about is like what water is like when it's not moving, right?
Right.
What water is like when it's not moving, it's stagnated and it becomes diseased. It becomes germ.
It's like,
right?
it's like your toilet. When you flush your toilet, it gets rid of the whatever you've done in it, right?
Number
Mhm.
two.
Gets rid of the poop, right? But imagine that water is just still and it's not flushed, and you go and then you come back and you go again, and you come back and you go again.
Ugh.
Haven. And this is going to attack your DNA. It's going to attack your mitochondria. That cell loses its charge. Now comes the white blood cells. Now comes the
And
inflammation.
that's a perfect example, even with your large intestines, with the colon.
Right.
If you're not defecating correctly, okay, and you're backed up, constipation is not when you're just sitting on the toilet, just straining to defecate. Constipation is also about how much stool you're releasing through your, what's it called?
Let me see that.
Anus.
This guy, I'll tell you, it's something else.
Through your colon, through your.
Well, it's actually, what's it, the GI?
Yeah, the GI tract.
The GI tract, right.
Mhm.
So when you're actually looking at the amount of stool that you're releasing a day, is also an indication of if you're constipated or not. Because if you are not, and that should be like what, 12 to 14?
12 to 16 inches.
If you're not producing that amount of stool a day, that means you're constipated. So just as Dr. Amsu was saying with the toilet example of defecating and not flushing out the water, this is what's actually taking place in your body, in your colon. So this species is now being backed up, and then bacteria is growing on that, and then the bacteria is procreating with other bacteria, and then they're defecating, and then out through your colon, and then you have colon cancer.
Right. And also
Scary.
Things like that. So
H. pylori, all them things. H. pylori will fester in that environment.
Right. So
HPV, is that the HPV virus?
No. H. pylori is
H. pylori. Okay.
Is a bacteria that this is one of the major issues that leads to things like colon cancer.
Okay.
Like
it starts
Crohn's disease.
Yeah, it starts now eating away at the inner wall or the mucous membrane of your small intestine. So it leaves the large and goes into the small intestine with this bacteria. And
leaky gut syndrome and all those kind of things.
Right.
Irritable bowel.
Diverticulous.
Right.
Right.
And then the skin.
Inflammatory bowel syndrome.
The last one you have down is the skin.
Well, the skin, as you said earlier on, is the largest organ. Okay. So you have what we call the gut wall, and anything that starts coming out on the skin is also an indication that the endocrine system. Now, all these organs we've mentioned, the liver, the kidneys, the small intestine, the large intestines, these all are part of the endocrine system, right? And once that's not functioning correctly, the body's like, well, we got to get rid of this toxin somehow. So you start seeing coming out of the skin. So when you start breaking out in these hives and
also deposits
in fat, right, and acne and things like that, and cellulite, that is not just the fact that your body is highly with toxins, but also the system, the endocrine system is not functioning. So once you go into that endocrine system, you've got many organs that could be dysfunctioning. All right. So the skin, once you see things coming out on your skin, it's really, we got to start doing some serious work on the body.
because that's the thing. The skin is like the last place where your body's going to start trying to get rid of toxins. So that means when you see somebody and they got rashy skin, or they got boils or whatever, they got white heads or black heads or whatever, right? A lot of people seem to think, all right, this is something that touched my skin. But 99.9% of the time, it's because your
body's trying to excrete it. Your body's trying to get it out.
Excretion system is not working. Your excretory system is not working. You know, your respiratory system, your perspiratory, your
perspiration, respiratory.
Right, there you go. Right, is not working correctly. Right.
Okay.
So the skin is like the last place. This is supposed to be the last thing we're supposed to see. But a lot of people have the skin issues. So we know, okay, your other systems are not working correctly. So we have to, you know, go in hard on those.
Okay, and I see that we went into some of the key things that, like the next screen is talking about sunlight. And I know that that's a critical part of the healing process, as well as the importance of sleep, okay? And then we go into the natural side effects of detoxing. So I think what we're talking about here now is, in addition to what you will, the program, whichever you're going to choose in terms of the detox program, whether it's the Detox 7, the 14, or the 30, in addition to the meal plan that you're going to follow, the instructions and the supplements you're going to take, we want to emphasize the importance of these two things, that they are part of the prescription. Okay. So you want to talk about sunlight, and then sleep?
Yeah. I mean, everyone knows the best source of vitamin D is from the sun.
And
okay?
why? And don't assume they know how important vitamin D is and what it does. So go ahead, please.
All right. We're gonna get okay. So the vitamin, and we have to be clear that, you know, you're dealing with 3 different rays when you're talking about sun rays. You got UVA, UVB, and UVC. We're only interested in UVB and UVC, depending on where you're located. Okay, the closer you are to the equator on the Earth is where you will be balancing or experiencing UVB to UVC.
Okay.
When you have vitamin D, as you know, is very, very important, especially with dealing with these anti-inflammatory health conditions that we're talking about. Vitamin D clears up all this stuff.
Because vitamin D does what? It facilitates.
Well, let's say what the sun does, and this is what we do with the vitamin D. The sun actually destroys white blood cells, white adipose tissue. What takes place when you're under the sun in those hot temperatures? You start sweating. Okay, this is what you're releasing the toxins. But at the same time, what is going on as well is that the supplements or the foods that you're taking on the program are starting to be, you could say, strengthened. The sun is like giving them extra minerals, and that's where the vitamin D comes in. Okay. And it now enhances those supplements. So they're releasing more powerful minerals, enzymes, and nutrition to the body. And this is where you feel, after you've been in the sun and you're on these detoxification programs that we're giving, you feel vitalized, you feel more healthier. You even might find you have to run in and do a bowel movement, things like that. Or you want an intake of more water, right? Because what you're doing, you're producing more brown adipose tissue or the red adipose tissue, which is fueling your mitochondria. So now the frequencies of your cells are increasing. And increasing. So now the whole form of your metabolism is speeding up. So the physiology of your body that is taking place and the connection with you and the sun is improving.
Now, what I wanted to make sure everyone's clear on, you don't get vitamin D from the sun. Right. You get rays from the sun. You get, we process UVB and UVC, right? So there's a photo process that's taking place. Photosynthesis, you might want to call it, or photovoltaic or photovoltaism, right? So the sun rays hit our body, right? There are melanocytes that react to melanin, right? Melanin, right? Now from that melanin, we absorb the sun rays. When it's absorbed in, cholesterol is then synthesized into a hormone which we refer to as vitamin D3.
Okay.
Right? So cholesterol is very important. Cholesterol is not the enemy, right? Because the fluid that's around your brain, guess what that's made of? The fluid that's around your nerves, the myelin sheath that's around nerves, that's cholesterol, right? So when somebody has high blood pressure and they're given these statin drugs eliminate cholesterol. So people who take statin drugs cannot.
You mean when they have high cholesterol?
D. They cannot produce that vitamin D because they don't have the cholesterol to do it. So they can sit in the sun all day and they're going to be vitamin D deficient. Now that vitamin D deficiency provides for the metabolism and processing of calcium, things around your body, your bones, your muscles, all those things cannot.
So vitamin D does these things. You said the vitamin D deficiency. You're saying the vitamin D actually does these things.
Right. So what we've just described, or what Dr. Amsu just described, is vitamin D is not actually a vitamin.
Right.
It's actually an internal
process.
It's a hormone. A hormone.
It's a hormone.
Actually,
It's a hormone processed by our bodies. It's a hormone
just like progesterone or testosterone. We actually have these receptors in the body
that create the vitamin D. And the vitamin D is critical to breaking down inflammation, breaking down tumor, right?
Yes, right. Because it breaks down white adipose tissue.
Because it breaks down white adipose tissue.
It is actually key for cellular respiration. Just flushing the cells out and facilitating the mitochondria. Remember, mitochondria is what measures your health.
Yes.
It's the spin of the cells.
It's the spin, it's the amount of mitochondria, and it's the frequency that mitochondria is spinning. Okay. That's what we call true spirituality. When somebody's like, I'm on a high, I'm vibrant, when somebody's glowing, that's the mitochondria
is on a high.
Firing on all cylinders.
So UVA.
I think we got extra grease on our face.
Right, that's that mitochondria. The UVA, just for clarity purposes, because I know we keep saying we actually focus on UVB and UVC. UVA is actually
it's a damaging.
It damages. It ages.
It causes aging and
wrinkles
and wrinkling. And the UVB rays are determined when it comes is the altitude of the sun has to be above 50. It has to be not the degrees, not the temperature outside. But the altitude of the sun, the angle of the sun has to be above 50.
You're getting a little complicated for them.
Yeah, I know. I'm just letting you know. Because some people think about degrees. That is a
good. The more perpendicular the
sun is.
The more UVB and UVC you're going to get.
Okay. Now, the importance of sleep.
Now, what we wanted to say, though. This is why you hear this saying in whatever industry, location. So when people are too high above the tropics, like Gessie, you're in New York.
I know.
I think right now in New York, your UVB.
No UVB rays, none, zero.
For the time being,
zero.
So down below the Mason-Dixie line, we get.
Mason-Dixon? No. God,
we're getting.
But listen, actually, something to talk about. Something. You're not really. I checked you the other day. UVB rays are still very little down there.
We may be getting an hour,
maybe an hour. Yeah, you're not really getting
right
much.
Now.
At lunchtime.
And it would be depleting
as the winter goes.
As winter comes in.
Something that's really important that people, they'll doctors say, oh, you're vitamin deficient. Just they're going to prescribe vitamin D tablets, and I think that's important to touch on
because guess what? The source of what they're getting of like vitamin D2 or these tablets that they're giving, which is synthetic, the source of it is coming from rats, fish, right? That's why when a lot of people take these vitamin D tablets, they can't sleep. They have a sleeping disorder, which we're going to go into, right? And the reason why is because if you look at rats or mice, they sleep all day.
They're nocturnal animals.
Right. And then they come out at night to start causing havoc around the house. So
why are they getting it from those animals? Why can't they get it from
because where's the other source that they're going to get it from?
Right, they're not going to get
Besides
it.
the sun.
Right, they'll have to get from humans, and now
Right.
we're dealing with body parts,
You
which
see?
we you know, that's a
Which is-
conspiracy
yeah.
theory, which we won't go into right now.
Right, exactly.
Okay, so but what happens? So again, we've talked about in the past how when you actually take these these vitamin D tablets, how it actually turns your brain, your body's ability to produce its own vitamin D.
Right,
off.
That's right.
What we call atrophy. So your body says, okay, we're flooded with this externally.
Because
You
it's
know,
never what your body can
there's too much.
metabolize.
When
can't-
you, right,
can't metabolize it.
when you take something in that your body's supposed to be producing, your body is going to say, okay, I'm going to stop producing this because there's too much of it, which now becomes toxic.
Right.
So
Right.
the body's going to start trying to flush it out and also stop producing it itself. So
Okay.
that's why when somebody gets onto something like vitamin D tablets,
Or
guess
B-
what happens? They got to stay on vitamin D tablets.
Right. And one of the things that the body shows on the organs is your liver and your kidneys, because one of the things you do when you take vitamin D or B complex, you got to run to the bathroom straight away. And you're
Mhm.
thinking this is doing something good.
Right.
It's the opposite. Okay, this is your body trying to excrete what you've just taken out of it straight away. So they suffer things with constipation, some of them even diarrhea, but the urine will start changing and smelling
Start going
different
brown.
color.
Well, so it's damaging.
Different smell. So it's damaging.
Okay.
It's actually damaging. So you got to, stay away from these things and find the natural sources of it. And okay, there is a challenge with it when you're coming into the winter cycle,
Right.
okay, of getting natural UVB, which then, like we just explained, the UVB, sun doesn't give you vitamin D, but the ending product is vitamin
Right.
D, which comes
Right.
from the UVB and the UVC. However, now we might have to start looking, or the alternatives, and start getting like UVB lights and things
Lamps.
like that. So
Mhm.
the lamps,
Right.
that's another way of, getting that.
All right, so let's jump into the importance of sleep, because the melatonin cycle, looking at the time here, the sun has set since we have fallen back and not sprung forward. Daylight savings time is over. And our bodies right now, the melatonin cycle actually is starting to, trying to engage, right? Because the sun has set. Let's
Right.
talk about that.
Okay, now the importance of the melatonin cycle. Melatonin inhibits aromatase production, right? So when you sleep,
Say that again so they hear that one.
all right,
that again.
melatonin, right, inhibits aromatase production. So the
Wow.
aromatase we were talking about before, which toxifies and activates and transforms or mutates natural hormones, steroidal hormones, such as testosterone and progesterone,
Progesterone into estrogen.
estradiol, E1 and
Right.
E2, which causes a catabolic reaction, which breaks you down, causes depression, causes fat, causes
And also metabolizes into carcinogens, because we didn't
right,
even talk
into
about that.
carcinogens,
There you
right?
go.
So this is what aromatase does, right? The different CYP 450s, they actually exacerbate carcinogens, right?
Right.
Out of the many forms of estrogens. So melatonin disrupts that, inhibits the whole process from taking place. So melatonin cycle happens while you sleep. It happens in the dark. It's triggered by pitch black.
Pitch black and silence.
And silence, right?
right.
Pitch black and silence, stillness, right? So while you sleep and you go into REM sleep, which is, next to comatose, right? That's where your cell walls open up and cellular respiration can take place, where the cells receive nutrients. Also, any toxins in cells are released out and the lymphatic system flushes them out. But also nutrients and melatonin can get into the cell, ignite the mitochondria. Your mitochondria actually slows down to help the cell from being to allow things
receiving.
So when your mitochondria is on full spin, your cell walls are hard to penetrate. So the mitochondria slows down to allow nutrients in. So everything you've been doing during the day, this is what we call the melatonin cycle corresponds to the assimilation cycle, which is part of the
and actually you talk about the circadian rhythms actually next.
Right.
So
Right. I mean,
the ones that go.
So appropriation cycle is basically during the day you're taking in sunlight, You're taking in foods that are healthy for
supplements,
you.
your minerals.
Appropriation, all the minerals, nutrients, and everything. Sunlight,
and like you
water,
said,
all that stuff, right? So all that is taken into the body, and then during the assimilation and melatonin cycle, which is at night when we're sleeping, that's where our body actually makes use of it, and the liver assigns where all the nutrients are going to go, and the cellular respiration.
And how do you know that this process is successful through the night? Because the first thing you should experience when you wake up in the morning is a very good bowel movement, and going to the bathroom.
It's a good indicator.
Right, that's the elimination cycle.
Right, and that is a very good indication of that your body has gone through that cycle or that process that Dr. Amsu just
successfully.
Right.
So that means not sleeping. That means, okay, but I like to listen to music when I go to sleep. Is that okay?
No.
Somebody may say.
No.
Oh, or I like to fall asleep to my favorite show, or I like to have my phone next to me, right? These are all things that our clients say, and we're like, no. You want to actually prepare this bed routine where do what you're going to do, right? Watch or whatever, then prepare, and then really even do your qigong, do some yoga, whatever it is before you go to sleep. Pray, do your meditation, then you turn off the TV.
Well, what's more important is that a lot of people you'll find are going to bed with the cell phones next to them.
Yes.
Sometimes TV.
No.
They will put the TV on standby. Doesn't mean the TV will stop. So what are these things projecting is what they call blue light. Okay, your cell phone, your laptop, your TV, alarm clocks. Okay, and what blue light does, it depletes the serotonin and melatonin from being produced in the body. So the cycle that Dr. Amsu just explained, what needs to take place in order for you to heal, because one of the key points that we also have to stress is that when you're sleeping in that REM state is when the body is now starting repairing itself.
Right.
Okay? This is when your body starts to heal itself. All right. And if that's being disrupted by sounds,
the light,
the blue light especially, then the body is not going to heal itself. So when you wake up in the morning, you should be waking up, full of energy.
Right.
Take on the world. You shouldn't be cranking and, wake up grumpy. And then what did they say? I'm not a morning person. You're not a morning person because you're not feeling right.
Sleeping well.
Your melatonin process or procedure that Dr. Amsu just explained, it didn't go through right. It didn't
go well.
When your melatonin cycle doesn't take place, aromatase is rampant. Estrogens are rampant through the body. They're not being inhibited.
So for men, you're not waking up, rising to the occasion. So that's an indication right there, man. So well, something's going on.
Actually, we've been talking about estrogen dominance. When estrogen dominance was first described, it was talking about the ratio between free testosterone and free estrogen.
Right.
So it was with men. It wasn't estrogen dominance wasn't discovered in women or investigated in women. It was actually investigated in men. So things like prostate issues, prostate cancer. This is also the aromatization of testosterone. Right. So they're saying out there, a lot of so-called specialists were saying testosterone is causing the problem of prostate issues, but it's not that. It's the aromatase, right? And estradiol, which is causing the issue of prostate cancer, and especially in African-American men.
And that has to do, so we got on the sleep piece, we got the daylight, the sunlight piece.
There's also another thing about sleep that I just wanted to bring is also the positioning on how you sleep. In order for this process to work efficient and get the best out of it is by sleeping on your back, or the left side. And the reason why you sleep on the back is because that's where your the organs are properly aligned, and the what's the word? I got a brain freeze at the moment.
Circulation.
The circulation, right, is not active. Now, if you're suffering with like bronchitis or you have asthma, then we don't recommend you sleep.
Right, you have to sleep on your left.
On the left side. The left side
people with sleep
also,
apnea as well.
right. So when you sleep on your left side, you're putting more pressure on the heart. So this is actually a healthy way of, you know, because you can't really strengthen the heart, as they say, right? It's a muscle that you can't really strengthen. But when you sleep on your left side, you actually are putting more pressure on it. So it makes it pound harder for circulation.
The heart with Qigong.
Word with Qigong, right? That's right. So it's making the circulation. Also, it kicks off the lymphatic system because the heart is working so much. It starts speeding up the circulation of electrons and electricity in the blood, which then sparks off plasma, and then the plasma hits the lymphatics, and things like that starts taking place. So sleeping on the left side also helps with the digestive system. It releases enzymes, so starts breaking down and absorbing the food. So what you got is the lymphatic system, pancreas and spleen starts functioning, and then you find out when you wake up in the morning, you have a terrific bowel movement. This is also the process that you're taking place. Now, if you have a irregular heartbeat, or if you suffered a heart attack or heart failure, then
on the right side.
On the right side. But if you're not, it's the left side. So again, you know, we're covering all angles and aspects of, you know, you're not just going to bed to sleep.
Right. The way I like to tell people, the women in our coaching programs, is that sleeping, think about it, when babies sleep all the time because they're growing, right? Healing and growing are the same thing, right? Exactly. You're growing new tissue, you're replenishing, you're regenerating. And we talked about how detoxing is clearing the way for us to regenerate new cells, new systems, new healthy tissue and organs, right?
Right.
Not organs, but healthy tissue for those organs. So
I just wanted to point something out as well, Gessie, that's very important.
Okay.
Right? You're only supposed to eat during a procreation cycle. So when your body is assimilating during the assimilation cycle, where your body is assigning those nutrients and minerals, you shouldn't be eating, because we want your digestion phase has to be over, because digestion uses up so much energy, right? So during assimilation, we want the body to be not using any energy for anything else but assigning those minerals.
Let's talk about those times, because they may not be aware, right? So
okay, so Gessie, we're gonna let you say, you know,
appropriation is from noon to 8 p.m. Right?
Around
generally noon to 8 p.m. is when you should be absorbing, taking food in, right? Taking food in, and then your health, basically your just most of your meals. We tell the women in our programs, we tell them, really, if you can, you know, just have your waters in the morning, right? I actually try not to eat until after at least 11. I try to, I'll just have a little bit of a water-based melon or something like that, because the more water the less it requires your body to work to digest what you've taken in, the more your digestive system can focus on elimination and not actually digestion, right? So, and then you go from 8 p.m. to 4 a.m., your body is going through assimilation, which is now absorption, right?
And that's the melatonin cycle.
Now the melatonin cycle has come in. It's taking in the nutrients that have been ingested in the day, right? And if it's poison, if it's toxic, it's also taking that in. And that's why some people, you'll realize, if you ate bad, you'll wake up feeling worse, right? You'll wake up feeling like you had a hangover. You'll wake up worse. Why? Because now overnight, instead of healing, your body actually metabolized the toxins.
And and you hit a key word there, hangover. That's why when people drink the night before they wake up, they feel terrible the next day, because their cells have actually absorbed all that poison. Now you're actually in a state of toxic shock.
Right. And what sometimes it could get so dangerous that you get alcohol poison.
Alcohol poison, right.
I mean, and then, alcohol in your cells is alcohol poisoning.
Yeah. Period.
To the extreme where
you notice it.
Right. And then you have to be rushed to hospital.
Right. It's other level, and a different level, a whole different level. So, and then when we go from 4 a.m. to 12 p.m., our body is eliminating. And that's why when we talk about, passing gas in the middle of the night, like
now, here's
wake up in the morning.
Here's the bad thing about how our lifestyle in the West is terrible, because right in the slap bang in the middle of the elimination cycle, say around 6, 7, 8 a.m. That's where people wake up and they eat breakfast.
Right. Yeah, which is a
right?
problem.
Now, some people go to the extent of even eating bacon and bacon strips, eggs, and wheat,
bread, and things that clog it all up.
Right, sausage biscuit, all these things, waffles, all these fatty things. Now,
sugars.
Now, because they're eliminating, right? Elimination doesn't take place properly because now they have to break all that down, which is hard to break it down anyway. Right. So they get groggy when they eat that. So what do? So that they don't feel groggy in the morning, they take coffee.
Coffee. Right.
Because they want to feel, they want that adrenaline rush or whatever.
Adrenaline.
They want that wake up thing, which is caffeine. Right. So the caffeine shot that they take now is more poison, more nitrogen. So the whole lifestyle you start going into,
and remember these cycles also change or flexible depending on where you're located, what part of that, because we've got clients all around the world. Right. So we have to adapt to these cycles when, to where they are. Some of them get sunlight to 6 o'clock. Some of them get sunlight all the way to 9, 10 o'clock at night. Right. So their assimilation cycle may start later. Right. There you go. So in terms of the time, that's why we say approximately. Right. Because it's really, it's really about, again, when the sun sets, that's the assimilation. Right. But still, your assimilation cycle starts a little later.
And that's even when we talk about what people do for a living, like their jobs. People who work third shift, like they work night. You're damaging this. There's no way that you can get.
There's irregularity. Your body doesn't know what to do.
People are the sickest people in the world because they don't.
That's why they call it the graveyard.
Yeah, graveyard.
That's right, because they're heading to the grave. I mean, you don't understand. The brain is like a clock.
Listen, but let's be clear. There are people who are saving lives overnight, right? So we don't want you to think that it's a death sentence, meaning there's nothing you can do. All right. We're just overnight. Meaning whether it's doctors, paramedics, we're just saying that bottom line is.
I mean, they're sacrificing. You're basically.
You're sacrificing. Right. Yeah, you're sacrificing yourself, and what we're saying is that.
We're living in a perfect world, so we have to.
Right.
We're on the paramedics because at 10 o'clock my phone goes off.
Yeah. Well. So anyway, shout out. So listen, we're gonna just talk. We're gonna end it up real quick with and then we'll talk about what's next after this. The natural side effects of the detox. We did talk about a lot of these, but what you may experience, and really each manual really goes into this in detail. So we're not really going to go into this in detail, but things like cold and flu-like symptoms, because again, in the respiratory system, in your lymphatic system, are working together to detox, get rid of toxins in your body.
And that's the key point there. Remember, you got to get out what is causing the issue.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
You may have a runny nose.
Right.
You got to
clean out the cells. You got to clean out the tissues.
Right.
And depending on what detox program you choose is how deep you're going into those organs and into the cells.
Healing process. Right.
Put out these toxins. Now, when they come out, you can experience headaches. You can experience, like you said, hot and cold flushes.
Skin rashes,
defecations, diarrhea. Even vomiting, right? But they should only last for a period of time, because once you're going through the detox and you're releasing or getting rid of these detox out of the body, you're eliminating them, and then you're replacing them with healthy food or healthy supplements and a healthy way of life. So now your organs get to regenerate, healthier tissue, healthier blood cells are being produced. So you will start feeling in your health. Now,
can we talk about the ketosis process that happens in that process?
So ketosis, right? You have to understand, ketosis is it's like a pendulum. It can swing either way. It's got excellent benefits to it, but it's also very stressful on the body. Okay, so we don't recommend you put yourself through a ketosis state
all the time.
Regularly.
Right? Maybe once or twice through the year should be sufficient. Now, when you're going through the ketosis state, is when the body basically glucose is pretty much depleted. So now what the body's going to do in order to feed,
because you're not taking in fuel, you're fasting.
Right. So the glucose, as you know, it feeds the muscles, it feeds, and it gives you a boost of energy. Okay. So what the body does at this stage, it now looks to feed off anything
that contains
fat or some form of
contains the
glucose in there, right? So what is beneficial with this is that if you've got these white adipose or fat white adipose tissues or just tumors in the body, in the ketosis state, it's going to start feeding off that. When it starts feeding of it, it's depleting it.
Breaking it down.
Breaking it down, all right, and eliminating it. Once that stage is taking place and you've got past that, and you know, people, well, you've been on a program, people's fibroids have shrunk tremendously, people have eliminated the fibroids,
reverse diabetes,
right, all of that. So once that process has taken place, then you come out of the ketose state. You know?
And then people increased energy, mind clarity.
Right, and that boost, because what you have to realize is all through your life, like a lot of the people that come to us, majority of their life, they've been eating and forming the enzymes for these bad foods that they've been eating, predominantly meat, dairy.
And they crave them because of that.
They crave them, right. So when they are now replacing these with a plant-based or just vegan or, you know, what we call melanin diet, the enzymes are still craving for that meat. So a point in case, you get someone who comes and be like, Dr. Amsu, Dr. Amun, I've been on your 30-day meal plan, man, and I'm feeling awful. And we be like, stick with it, stick with it. Now, they might come back and say, I feel better, you know, and we be like, right, we told you. No, man. I was feeling so bad, and then I had a piece of,
right, my body needed it.
Something like that. And listen, this made me feel great. Well, what's happened is that the enzymes that were giving you that energy has been there, that you've had all those years back because you've been eating meat or eating a fish. So all you did is reactivate that enzyme that gives you that boost of energy. Doesn't mean you did any good.
Right.
Some people.
It's a temporary thing. It's a temporary thing.
Right. So these are all the stages and experiences that you will go through the detox programs. It doesn't mean that some people, the enzymes of eliminating those bad enzymes, because trust me, there's so many different types of enzymes that are going through in the body. Okay. Once you start eliminating those bad enzymes out of the body, some people it can happen in 6 weeks. Some people it might take 6 months. Some people it's so detrimental is that we might have to tell them to go back on meat for a period of time and break it down slowly to say, well, eat meat once a week, eat meat once every 2 weeks, eat meat once a month. And then eventually the body will start rejecting those enzymes.
Right, we wean them off.
You know, so a lot of these symptoms that you go through.
What would mean, like some people may say, well, I just love my meat. Can I just wean off? Like in what case would that? Because I can hear these programs saying, well, that sounds like me. Can you just wean me off?
Right, but this is the thing is that if somebody has a chronic condition, and they want to get rid of that chronic condition, and when they eat meat, it will feed it straight away. No, you've got to end that. So when somebody is like, no, I don't have no conditions, but I do want to get healthy, we can say, to them, okay, we're gonna
wean you off. So it's more of like you want to actually transition to a healthy lifestyle, but you may not want to be as accelerated or aggressive about it.
We want to kind of eliminate this 80-20 thing that people say, and that. When
no 80-20.
There's no 80-20, especially when you've got a health condition like diabetes or high blood pressure. Okay, and we've done it many a time.
Or you're trying to eliminate fibroids. I mean, really.
Right, but let's just stick with like the high blood pressure and diabetes. Right, we've had people that are being on our diet, and the sugar levels have gone normal, the blood pressure's gone normal, and then they've gone and had a sandwich with wheat, with bread, and then the blood level is just shot right up. So it has immediate effect on you. Immediate. So there's no 80-20 in there. It's all the way or nothing.
I remember when somebody goes through detoxification, what we said earlier, it creates the canvas or clears the canvas. Imagine like a painting. You've just whitewashed everything. Now you're going to start your painting again. So if you get the doo-doo brown on there, that's what you're going to start that doo-doo brown painting.
Right.
We don't want it.
Again with that. And your body is actually more sensitive to it also.
Right. There you go.
Like,
so we all know.
We've had people in the program where they did the detox 14 and, ate something bad after, was like, oh my goodness, I felt like I was literally going to die. Because
right.
Because now their body was trying to get rid of it so fast because now the body was so clean and sensitive to it.
There you go. And that's one of the things that, when your body is clean and you eat something, you might have flatulence and you can actually go back through your day and say, what did I eat today?
Right. That was it.
And that's the way of how you can also identify if something, like you eat something that's supposed to be organic.
Yeah, and it wasn't organic.
You have gas or you have a runny nose or whatever, something.
Or you may belch and it tastes there's like a feedback in your belch.
That wasn't really what it said on the label or whatever,
Your body, you're supposed to be in tune with your body and your body will let you know straight away. The moment you start training your body and changing your lifestyle to benefit your health, the moment you step out of that, right, your body's going to let you know straight away something you just intake isn't right. And start fighting it. Now the good thing is that it doesn't lie dormant. It attacks it straight away. You get rid of it, and then So that's the good thing about it. The problem is a lot of people are eating these stuff and they're not feeling the direct effect or the damage that it's doing. Because again, the body's remarkable. It's going to fight off and restrain to keep healthy by any means necessary. But like anything,
it's a process. It's a process.
And it becomes
and we say it's not a race. It's a lifestyle. So we're here to help equip you and really help you become the experts of your health. That's the key thing here. That's the key thing here is that, we're not, we're not letting you, we're not just giving you a detox and then kind of like, oh, you're on your own, right? Clean you up and you're on your own. No, really, we have providing the tools and the resources to help you change your lifestyle, whether it's, just because you want to prevent disease or you want to transition to a healthier lifestyle. Because you realize, the power is in your hands. The power is in your hands, and the food is your medicine, and you have the power to change it.
Now, that's what's a very, very important point. So we have the detox. After the detox, it's just as important as during the detox.
Yeah, absolutely. Life after the detox. Absolutely.
So there's a lot of people that that they do a detox and then they go right back to McDonald's.
Yeah.
It's lifestyle change.
There's no point in doing a detox if you're going to go back to eating what's bad for you, which is, you have this religious festivals or fasts or whatever what they have during the year. And you have, they may fast for 40 days and 40 nights and all that stuff, prayer and fasting. And as soon as it's finished, they go right back.
Right to McDonald's. Well, here's the deal again. So our goal is to help educate and empower you to design a lifestyle of healing. This is not just about an acute quick fix. We don't believe in quick fixes. We are about educating and empowering you to, again, prevent disease, to transition to a healthier lifestyle overall that will also reverse disease and any chronic conditions you may have. And again, that's why we provide the tools. And that goes right to what's next. So, we gave you a lot of information and you'll probably have to listen to this maybe more than once. But we wanted to not shortchange you. We wanted to really give you full everything, the full enchilada, the full mango, because we don't do enchiladas, right? And what we really encourage you to do now is to just do that, is to choose, the right detox for you. Look through the different detoxes at thedetoxnow.com, and you'll see there's the Detox 7, which is a mini cleanse, the Detox 14, which is the healing intensive, and the Detox 30. Do you want to talk about those three, Dr. Amsu and Dr. Amun? Give them a little taste of what that is. Of course, we'll have more information on the website for them, but just to give them a little taste as to who's what for what. And then they can go to the website and get ready to start healing, to unleash their power to heal, as we like to say.
Because we're short on time, you know, we just say that we have the mini 7, the detox 7, which is the mini cleanse. That basically is where you don't eat during the daylight hours. You eat only fruit, a restricted diet at night.
Well, really tell them who is it for, because they can read all the details. Like that's for
people that maybe want to, you know, start losing weight. They maybe want to start embracing, you know, a vegan
healthier lifestyle.
Right, people with acute conditions, they might have a flu or they might have something coming on, and it's like, okay, do this fast.
Right, and they feel like, you know, I'm letting myself go a little bit. You know, I need to lose some weight and get back in the gym, and you know, so it's not really a chronic health condition that they're experiencing. They might just be a little bit overweight and things like that.
Or could it be good for the person who says, you know what, I'm ready to adopt a healthier lifestyle. I'm ready to, you know,
and they don't suffer with high blood pressure.
Right, I don't have a condition. I just want to start a healthier lifestyle.
It's also good for as a marker, because there's some people who there's something going wrong with them when they eat. They're eating all these foods, and it's like, what am I going to do? So the first thing is, all right, do this 7-day mini cleanse. So it kind of wipes your slate clean. It helps us to get rid of, you know, toxins out of your body. Now we can say, okay, try this, see how you respond. And you know, try this, see how you respond. We can do it day by day. So when somebody knows, all right, I ate that and I had heartburn, it's like, all right, now you know this is what's going on.
Because you're trying to identify the source of what's going on.
Right, and you know what is really detrimental by what Dr. Amsu just said is it exposes things sometimes. People feel that I'm healthy, I don't have any health conditions.
Right.
Once they do the 7 days, a lot of things come to the surface.
Right, because they were hidden underneath the surface.
Right, they were hidden. But the good thing is that now you're attacking it before it's attacking you.
Right.
So that's the good thing.
It was latent underneath the surface. It was
right, and then we have
ready to start.
Right. So now let's jump onto like the 14 days. The 14-day liquid fast is where it's just liquid.
Well, it's called the Detox 14 Healing Intensive now. But that's what we used to call it. We used to call it the 14-day liquid fast. So people.
There you go.
He's not looking at the screen.
I'm not looking at the screen.
No problem.
I'm trying to engage with
I got you.
Right.
Well, you know what? That's the healing intensive. So let's leave that one for last. Let's go to the master cleanse.
Okay. So the master cleanse is the 30.
Who is it for? Like, who is it for? They can talk. They can look at the instructions, but who? What? If you're looking for what?
Anybody who has if somebody has a chronic inflammatory disease, if somebody has a viral infection or a bacterial infection, right? The 30-day master cleanse is basically you're abstaining from all forms of food apart from specific fruits. Right?
This is the true medicine.
Right.
For the
Fruits
body.
are the true medicine. Is carbohydrates.
Okay.
It's the right sugars for the body. Right. And
carbon based.
Very high in things like vitamin C, very high in water. So everything the body needs to sustain itself is provided by fruit. So we're eliminating all complex forms of foods which complicate things, right? So we're getting rid of all of that and bring it down, you know, back to basics, basically.
Yeah, that's it.
Bring everything back to basics. So it helps to eliminate all these pathogens and microbes out of the body. And it also involves ketosis.
Right.
Is part of that process. So it's also starving the body from these from all these
how is it involving ketosis if I'm eating fruit throughout the day?
All right, because your natural diet, your body is used to, as Dr. Amun was saying, there's certain enzymes that are in place. These enzymes require their source.
Yeah.
So when you remember what's in fat is toxins as well. So the toxic food that you've been eating,
it's being starved of that.
Enzymes are like, all right, we need to find this. Where is it? It's in the fat. All right, let's get that fat.
So now it's going to look for it in the tumors. It's going to look for it in
that process. Remember, during that process, you're going to be going through the actual detoxification where these organs, those 6 organs are going to start doing their job properly.
Right.
Remember, there's different levels of ketosis.
Right.
There's some severe levels of ketosis where people don't eat or drink for maybe 3 or 4 days. nothing.
Right. That's when we're dealing with health healing intensive.
Intensive.
Right.
Right. So the mini cleanse is for somebody who's saying, you know what, I'm not dealing with any diseases. I really just have decided I really want to prevent disease, and I want something to help me transition. So that's great for the person who wants that, the 7-day mini cleanse. And then there's the Detox 30 who, okay, you may be dealing with really obesity may be an issue, right? You may be on dealing with high blood pressure, some sort of that master cleanse is actually going to help you to not just really kickstart, but really go into deeper acceleration. That's why we call it the master cleanse, right? Deeper acceleration in terms of impacting, turning that disease around, so that you're not just transitioning to a healthier lifestyle, but you're also cleaning the canvas for regeneration of healthy cells and tissues.
There you go.
Right. And then you have the healing intensive, which is the Detox 14, which is really for people dealing with acute diseases, right? Everything from the high blood pressure, but it's for people who want to accelerate it.
Right, acute and chronic. So
acute and chronic. Okay.
Right. So this is the aggressive. This is the one where it's really why we called it intense.
You're suffering and you're ready for real change.
Because it really is intense, and it kicks in quickly because you're depriving the body of all solids. There's zero solids, right? So what your body, we all know that when we say, all right, we're gonna go get something to eat, and eating is how we fuel the body. So you're getting rid of all the fuel that we're used to, which is the solids. Zero solids for 14 days, just
only liquids.
And then the liquids are not any liquids. You ain't got alcohol or tea or whatever. It's specific. It's only structured water, mineral water, and coconut water.
Right. So and again, the key thing here is for people who are dealing with layers of chronic diseases, looking to thing that they're really looking to kickstart, whether it could be.
And we've had tremendous results.
Tremendous.
People have lost fibroids. Women have,
gotten pregnant, like our sister Danielle, who I talked about earlier.
High blood pressure, diabetes. I mean, tumors of the shrunk. I mean, we've just seen, erection deficiencies being reversed. All kind of stuff. All kind of great, healthy,
benefits. Well, health testimonials, right? And the fact that it empowers you, sorry to cut you off, Dr. Amun, but it's also, it empowers you to really live a healthier lifestyle, because now you've cleansed your palate, and you've really realized that, you know what, I don't actually need those foods.
One of the things what it does as well, I'm glad you said that, Gessie, because our palate has been destroyed in the Western diet, because everything's sugar and salt, and flavor enhancers, excitotoxins. So when you go through this fast, you're actually hitting like a reset button. Where your palate now when you eat vegetables and certain spices and whatever, you're actually tasting those.
Yeah.
You might eat something and be like, man, it's bland, it's fresh or whatever. Now when you taste things, you can actually taste the food.
Yes. Your taste
buds are important to let you know if something's rotten. If certain taste where you know what, it's this ain't good. I don't like the taste of this. So your taste buds actually are warning signs.
Yeah.
And we're actually reactivating those taste buds for those
in a healthy way.
Purposes.
That's awesome.
It ain't easy.
Powerful. It's not, but if you, I say it's for people who are really ready to change their lives and they need healing.
Very disciplined.
It is. But again, we're here to support you. So that is the end of our e-course. This was so much more than just a webinar. It really was. And we want to encourage you that whether you're looking to prevent disease or to cure a condition, or to just adopt a healthy lifestyle, the detox really is your first step, and we are here to support you on that journey. All right. So visit us at thedetoxnow.com, and let's get started healing today.
Remember, your health is your wealth, people.
That's right. Your health is your wealth. Take care.
All right, take care.
Thank you so much, doctors. I appreciate it, and we appreciate it. And that's it. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Wait, hold on. You know what? I want to do a better ending. I had paused it. 1 second, guys. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.